Here I want to go through oxidation of alcohols. So the first thing that's really important when you're oxidizing an alcohol is the carbon that's attached to the alcohol group. You want to know a little bit of information about it. So specifically, this carbon here is attached to this alcohol. And you want to know how many other carbons are attached to that carbon. So in this case, I have one. So this would be called primary. This carbon attached to my alcohol group has two carbons attached, and so therefore that would be secondary. And then this carbon attached to my alcohol has 3 carbons attached, and therefore we call that tertiary. So when you're doing the oxidation, unless you're really hitting it with something that's really strong and going to make CO2, which we're not in this case, you're not going to remove those carbons. So they limit your capacity for how much oxygen you can add to the carbon. In this case, I can remove the 2 hydrogens, but I can't knock out this carbon. Here I can knock out this hydrogen, but I can't knock out the carbons. And then here, there's no hydrogens for me to knock out. That's actually not going to react. So, how do I get these to undergo an oxidation reaction? Well, you're going to add permanganate, or you're going to add dichromate, or some other oxidizing agent. And then usually you'll have an acid or a base catalyst with that. But either of these two will work. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add oxygen to the carbon next to the alcohol, carbon attached to the alcohol, until you reach kind of the capacity of how much you can add. So in the case of a primary, let's knock one of these hydrogens free. We'll keep one for now. We would form an aldehyde. In the case of the secondary, kind of draw this sideways here. We would form a ketone. Okay, and so we've removed that hydrogen and then increased the bonding with the oxygen there, and it's oxidized. This, no reaction would occur. Okay, so in the one we end up with basically acetone. Here. Now this one is interesting because this one still has a hydrogen attached, which means that this can further undergo oxidation and end up as a carboxylic acid. So primary alcohols will oxidize to form an aldehyde and then a carboxylic acid if there's sufficient oxidizing agent. A secondary alcohol will form a ketone and then will stop. And then a tertiary alcohol, no reaction will occur at all. The reagents you either need permanganate or dichromate or some other source of oxidizing agent, some source of oxygen, and then you would need some kind of catalyst. And that would usually be an acid or base. One of the two. That's it. That's how you do an oxidation reaction.